Most Vancouver condo buyers focus on price, view, and location. But the real risk is hiding in the paperwork. Stick around to the end because one document decides whether a condo is a safe buy or a financial landmine. If you're buying a condo in Vancouver, here's the truth most people only learn after they move into the unit. Buildings don't fall suddenly, they fall quietly. On paper, long before you see a leak, a crack, or a visible issue. And the people who get hurt aren't reckless buyers. They're families, they're professionals, they're investors who thought they did everything right. And a lot of the times, nobody ever explained what actually mattered. Today, I'm breaking down the real condo traps in Vancouver, the ones that quietly cost owners tens of thousands of dollars. And more importantly, how smart buyers avoid them before they write an offer. And it matters even more if you're treating real estate like a long-term investment. So let's start with the biggest illusion in Vancouver real estate: low strata fees. Yeah, the strata fees feel great. They make the mortgage feel manageable. They make buyers feel responsible. They create a false sense of safety. But strata fees are not meant to be discounted because they are a funding plan. Every building has the same unavoidable reality. Roofs wear out, elevators age, plumbing corrodes, windows fail, concrete cracks, mechanical systems break, and nothing lasts forever. So the only question is when these things happen and who pays for them. In Vancouver, a healthy strata fee usually sits somewhere between 50 cents and $1 per square foot. That range exists for a reason. This reflects the insurance costs, the maintenance costs, the management costs, and most importantly, the savings. When fees fall well below that range, it almost always means the same thing. And that does not save you money. It just defers the bill. And deferred bills turn into special levies. And this is where buyers start to panic. This is where families start to scramble. And this is where investors lose years of returns in one envelope. I've seen special levies for $10,000, $20,000, $40,000, and in some cases, far more. And it's not because the building collapsed, it's not because something catastrophic happened, but because the building was never funded properly from the start. This brings us to the most important number in any strata, and that's the contingency reserve fund. This is essentially the building's savings account. This is the money set aside for major repairs, not optional repairs, but inevitable repairs. Think roofs, elevators, plumbing, windows, parquet membranes, building envelope work. And a weak reserve fund does not mean the building is cheap. It means the building is unfinished. In British Columbia, stratas are not required to save responsibly. Some councils plan ahead, and a lot of them react after the fact. A common rule of thumb is that the strata should hold at least 10% of its annual operating budget in reserves. Less than that doesn't mean a total disaster tomorrow, but it does mean risk. And risk should never be ignored. Risk should be understood, and risk should be priced in. Smart buyers don't panic when they see risk, they adjust. They adjust the price, they adjust their expectations, or they adjust their budget, or they walk away. Now let's talk about one of the most overlooked deal killers in Vancouver: insurance deductibles. Strata insurance deductibles have risen dramatically over the last few years, especially for water damage. Today, it's common to see deductibles of $25,000 to $50,000 and sometimes $100,000 in some buildings, and we have seen even higher. And a lot of the time, here's the part buyers almost never hear: if water damage originates in your unit, you are responsible for that deductible, not the strata, not the insurer, you. So essentially, let's just say your washing machine hose fails, if your dishwasher leaks, if your bathtub overflows, or if a pipe bursts inside your unit and travels downward into other units, the bill starts with you. And if your personal insurance doesn't match that deductible, you can be exposed. And this is one of the biggest reasons certain condos become very difficult to sell. And it's one of the biggest reasons financing falls apart late in the process. It's also one of the biggest risks investors tend to underestimate. And it's not about the unit, it's about the risk profile of the building. Now let's talk about special levies again, but this time how they actually show up. Special levies never just come out of nowhere. They are telegraphed. What I mean by that is when you read strata minutes, you're not looking for the words special levy approved, because by the time you already see that, it's too late. Essentially, you're looking for patterns, the same issues discussed again and again, meeting after meeting, with no action. Pipes that are patched instead of replaced, parquet membranes that are temporarily repaired, envelope work that gets deferred, window sealing that keeps getting postponed. So the gist of it is when problems are acknowledged but not funded, they do not disappear. they compound. And this is why you should absolutely read multiple years of strata minutes and not just the most recent ones, not just the summary pages, because this is where you can be a smart buyer and save a ton of money, not by finding discounts, but avoiding traps. Now let's talk about a Vancouver specific risk that every buyer should understand. Buildings constructed roughly between 1982 and 1999. Many wood frame condos from this era were built before modern rain screen standards. The issue wasn't laziness, it wasn't greed, it was just outdated building science. These buildings were designed to be airtight, but Vancouver gets way too much rain for that approach. So what happens is moisture gets trapped inside of the walls and it leads to rot, mold, structural deterioration, and the fix is rain screening. However, rain screening is extremely expensive. If a building from this era has not been rain screened, the future repairs can lead to tens of thousands of dollars per unit. That doesn't mean every building from this era is bad. Many have already been rain screened. However, you have to confirm it. Never assume. Documentation matters. Engineering reports matter. The building's maintenance history matters. So now let's talk about one of the most seductive traps in Vancouver real estate: leasehold condos. Every year, buyers find a condo that looks too good to be true, with the best views, prime location, it's a solid building at a low price, and then they find out it's a leasehold. When you buy a leasehold, you don't own the land, you are buying time. As the lease gets shorter, the value declines. Financing becomes harder. Buyer confidence drops. With that being said, some leaseholds can work short term, but most perform very poorly long term. And non-strata leaseholds should almost always be avoided. You have no control, no protection, no safety net. So let's just talk about why this matters so much, because if this is your primary home, you want stability, you want predictability, you want to know what your future costs look like. If this is an investment, you want controlled risk, you want numbers you can trust, you want surprises eliminated, and strata risk destroys both. Cash flow does not matter if one special levy wipes out 5 years of returns, and appreciation does not matter if buyers are scared of the building. And I'm not at all saying Vancouver condos are dangerous, I'm saying uninformed buying is. The difference between a smart buyer and regret isn't luck, it's preparation, and it's slowing down before you commit, so you never have to scramble after the fact. If you want help reviewing strata documents, understanding real risk, or buying safely in Vancouver, just shoot me a text at 604-288-7592. Always more than happy to help. And make sure you do the boring work once so you never have to panic later. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.